Thank you very much. So we'll get started. My name is Adam Gill. I've worked up at the observatory for about 3 years now, and we've got schedule. So I started off as an IT specialist, but I took on the duties of shift leader this year actually. So this is my first year as a shift leader. And Ian, you just started. Well, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. I can talk about myself. Why not? So yeah, my name is Ian Bailey. I actually just signed on in June, so I've been a fresh new observer since June, and I'm also the education specialist on shift, so I'm responsible for a lot of the outreach programs, a lot of the connections that we do with local communities, a lot of school work we do, media outreach and things like that. I just want to say thank you guys for having us tonight, your keynote speakers. We're really excited to be here to talk about some winter weather and what things look like over where we're from.
Alright, so we'll get started on our next slide here. We'll start off with really what is the Mount Washington Observatory. So we are a nonprofit organization that works on the summit of Mount Washington. We are not associated with the COG or the Honor Road, but we do work through the Sherman Adams building up there on the summit. We get funding through the National Weather Service via a grant to our hourly observations and collect data and release it publicly. And then we also are member supported as well. So we have a lot of members and fundraising events as well. So we have the Seek the Peak that occurs in July. And then we have our annual appeal, which occurs at this time. So the last bit of the year is our annual appeal. But we also do research and education, and Ian will talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, if we can get the next slide, please. Yeah, so we do a lot of work, basically, like I said, reaching out to different schools, universities. We do get funding and grants that support a lot of the products that we put out, especially from the New Hampshire's Space Grant Consortium, where we're doing a lot of different things where we're doing outreach events. So one of our big things is we do what we call Live from the Rock Pile, where if you venture to North Conway and get to visit the WDC, which is one of our museums, you actually can connect to the summit and talk to the meteorologists, like yours truly and Adam, about what's going on at the summit and what it's like to live and work up there. We do a lot of research as well, looking at snowpack and fog and precipitation and things like that. And then a lot of education programs as well, where people come up and learn about the severe weather that we see, what actually fuels it and causes it. And so we just do a lot of outreach programs like that and connections to classrooms as well. So it's a lot of good work, and we're really glad that we can actually do that and provide that service through the grants and things that we do. So it is really nice.
We do have a couple museums that we operate too. So we have one down in North Conway, the Weather Discovery Center. We also operate one seasonally up on the summit of Mount Washington. So both those locations help us earn revenue as well through museum admissions, and it gives us a little bit of the history of the Mount Washington Observatory, as well as what we do. So one thing we do every day is our hourly observations. So go on to the next slide. Ian will talk a little bit about that since it's been training.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So there is actually a lot that goes into our hourly observations, and so part of our contract that we have with the National Weather Service is every hour, usually on the 45 or the 58 past the hour, we go outside and we're recording literally everything that we see. So we look at temperature, we look at dew point, we look at cloud cover, we're seeing what's going on in the sky above, whether or not we're in the fog, what's going on with wind, and things like that. And so we gather all that information out from the observation deck, and we actually bring it inside and write it down on all the paperwork. Actually go back one. All the paperwork that you see there in the bottom right-hand corner. And so while we do everything digitally, we also still record things in paper form as well. And so there's a lot of information that we're gathering, putting into those records and sending off to the National Weather Service. And it's one of the biggest things that we're responsible for up there. So there's a lot that goes into that.
So every day we release forecasts at about 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. So we'll talk a little bit more about the forecasting if we go further on. But at first, the 5 a.m. Forecast that we do is done by our staff meteorologists, so they do it in the overnight hours and it's released at 5 a.m. That's our official forecast. And at 5 p.m. we do a second forecast that we allow our interns to do. So we have interns that come up and they'll help out. One of their tasks is to do the afternoon forecast. We only do a 48-hour forecast on Mount Washington, so when we've done projects, we look at forecast verification, and really beyond 48 hours to get that unpredictability of Mount Washington's weather, the forecast is just too bad. So we'd rather release quality products. That's what we're using 48 hours out.
Yeah. The next slide, please. So Adam mentioned just a moment ago that we do have interns, and so we do have a really profound intern program that we have at the summit, where they come up and spend a couple of months out of the year with us working on a research project from, like I think, snowpack is the current one that we're working on right now, a lot of research with fog and temperature as well. And then they're also responsible for a lot of other duties that happen throughout the shift. So they'll give tours to people who come up to the observatory. They work on the afternoon forecast. They'll do a lot of maintenance work as well. And so it's a really unique opportunity for people to come up and live with us, work on an actual project, and see what it's like to be in such an environment. And a lot of the interns go on to do lots of different things, but some of them actually come back. So all the people who are on our staff right now were actually previously interns, which I think is kind of cool.
Alright, so move on to why we do manual observations. So many locations have moved to ASOS or AWOS stations that are unmanned, but up on the summit of Mount Washington, due to the weather that we see, we actually have to stay manned year-round to be able to keep up with the icy conditions, fix instrumentation as they break, because they do break all the time. One of the big things you have to do is de-ice instrumentation, so a bunch of those pictures are going up with a crowbar to knock ice off the instrumentation. A lot of people ask, why don't we heat our instruments? And we actually do heat our instruments. Our main wind instrument has over 2,000 watts of heating. We're seeing ice growing at 6 to 8 inches per hour. Unfortunately, that overpowers any sort of heating that we have, and we still have to go up and knock it off, or else the wind instruments stop working. Which every once in a while we have a storm that's so bad we can't even get up to the top of the tower to the end. So there's been a few storms I've been up before, therefore, that I wonder what the highest wind speed actually was, especially with the building shaking. It's just frustrating inside with the wind going down to 80 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour. It's really not that low. And then also reliability. So a lot of these instruments are actually, we have analog backups as well. So they don't need power to run. So when you do lose power or something happens where we don't have any power, we are still able to collect data and do it by hand. So we can still, one of the paper charts we had up earlier has our wind speed on it, and we can calculate the wind speed off of the paper forms there. So Ian is going to explain why we experience the extreme weather that we do.
Next slide, please. Actually, before we get to that, we can't forget about the video we wanted to show. So we mentioned a moment ago about de-icing, basically how it's really important that we go outside and make sure that the instruments are free of ice so that we have an accurate record. And so part of that responsibility is doing that in some of the worst weather that you might see. So we actually have a video of our crew going up and de-icing in 120-mile-an-hour wind gusts in the middle of the night, and so we wanted to share that with you guys and just kind of talk you through that process real quick. So let's roll the video. So we never actually do this alone. We actually do go up as a crew. A lot of people ask if we can use like harnesses or ropes to strap ourselves to the top of the tower, and the answer is no, because those straps can actually snap in the force of the wind and become a weapon really, really quick. So we're using just our sheer strength to hold us against the side of the tower there. And the other two observers are down on our parapet to kind of spot them if they happen to get blown off the top of the tower. So they kind of lock themselves in place there, and then we usually take crowbars or heavy mallets, and we'll whack the side of the parapet. You never hit the instruments directly, they're very expensive, and that's a good way to get fired. So you hit the side of the tower, and then you create vibrations that shake the ice loose, which allows the instrument to rotate freely in the wind once again. So it's one of the more exciting things that we have to do as part of our job. Sometimes we have to do that. Oh, thank you. Sometimes we have to do that on the order of every 15 minutes, and it can get a little intense, but we just wanted to share that with you guys because we're a little crazy and we think it's a lot of fun. So, yeah, so let's talk a little bit about some of the manual instrumentation we have inside.
Alright, so this is a picture for our manual instrumentation. So up there in the top left there is actually our wind chart. So that was a pretty significant event. I don't know if you guys remember from 2015, the Kate Molotov that tried to hike Mount Washington. So that was a wind chart from that day. Our winds were gusting over 140 miles an hour with temperatures down to 37 below zero. So definitely not a good day to be out hiking, but she tried anyways. And then we also have a couple other instruments. We still use mercury barometers. So every couple of days we will calibrate our aircraft using the mercury barometer. So we still have both old school instrumentation as well as modern instruments. So that's back to you.
Oh, thanks. Let's go ahead. Next one. Alright, so yeah, what we mentioned before, why do we get the extreme weather that we do? And it's actually kind of a combination of three different things. It's our prominence, it's our storm tracks, and it's in the process called the integrity effect. So in regards to our prominence, if you go from Mount Washington west, you're not going to encounter another structure or object that's nearly tall as we are, all the way until you get to the northern Great Plains. The Black Hills, I believe, is where we're going with that one. So there's really nothing obstructing that wind flow to really help slow it down. There's not a whole lot of frictional force to kind of bash that wind out a bit. So we're getting the full brunt of whatever comes our way. And in regards to storm tracks, most of the storms that we see are actually coming from the northwest, the west, and the southwest. That picture you see in the bottom left there is actually a study that we did looking at storm tracks over a 30-year period. And you'll see, I don't know how well it is to see, but that white star amidst all of the red arrows, that's where Mount Washington is, and so we're affectionately known as the tailpipe of the United States as far as weather patterns are concerned. So in one way or another, most storms are actually making their way to our area and impacting us either directly or on the peripheral of the storm. So we're getting everything coming from the west and northwest, and the way that the presidentials are actually structured, they're actually like a funnel. So you have the northern presidentials and the southern presidentials, which create a funnel that actually opens up to the west, where all of our storms are coming from. Those storm systems will actually move into that funnel and get compressed, and that compression, through the Venturi effect, actually causes an acceleration in the winds before it even starts coming up to the summit. Then it rockets its way up the side of the mountain, shoots over the top of the summit, and actually encounters a layer called the tropopause, which is essentially the top of the atmosphere where we see most of our weather patterns. And it's a very stable layer of the atmosphere. It kind of acts like a lid. So the wind blasts up over the summit, can't go any higher than the tropopause, and is actually squeezed again in the vertical and causes a secondary acceleration as it goes across the summit. And so when you get these two compression factors, it causes the intense winds that we see, and then you get blowing snow, ice chunks, freezing precipitation, all as a result of these high winds and frigid temperatures that we see at the summit.
Alright, and for the next slide we talk a little bit about forecasting. So now getting into the real interesting stuff, so I'm going to actually focus on forecasting snow on Mount Washington, since this is a skiing event. We mostly use forecast soundings when it comes to forecasting snow. Unfortunately, due to Mount Washington's prominence, a lot of the models are gridded, so the mountains get smoothed over, so we actually have to kind of use more forecasting methods to forecast up on the summit. So what the forecast soundings help us determine is determine how cold it is going to be at the summit, how unstable the atmosphere is, if there's good conditions for upslope snow. So up on Mount Washington, a lot of times we have a nor'easter come through, and we'll get 6 to 8 inches of snow out of the main initial snowstorm. But then on the backside of it, if there's enough moisture wrapping around, we'll get upslope snow showers. We'll get another 6 to 8 inches of snow, where if they're down in North Conway or any other valley location, it's nice and sunny. So we do look at forecast soundings if it is really steep lap rates, or if we have temperatures at the summit cold enough, it's in the dendritic growth zone for snowflakes this form. We look for that to see how much of the atmosphere will be in that zone, and that will help us determine the intensity of the upslope snow events. Also, another thing is look at how much moisture is in the lower part of the atmosphere. Because one thing that Mount Washington is notorious for is the fog. So a lot of times when you come up, you might have a view that's only a few hundred feet, and that's pretty common, largely due to how much moisture is here on the East Coast. So we look at how low those cloud heights are, and then if you have a ton of that moisture, it can also help enhance any sort of snowfall. So then, the next thing we have to look for is what location of the low pressure system is. So a storm like this, you're in the warm sector, and Ian will talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so like Adam mentioned, so we do take a lot of this into account, a lot of forecast products and things like that, but we're also looking at maps too, if you want to show us the next slide there. And so where we are in relation to the low pressure system actually tells us a lot about what kind of weather we're going to get. So like what we saw today, like what Adam mentioned, a warm front moved through, and we find ourselves in the warm sector of the low, kind of in between the two fronts there. So we have a lot of warm, wet air that's hovering right near freezing, and so we're going to see a lot of heavy precipitation, which probably is going to fall as rain, unfortunately. However, the cold front will move through eventually, so when you find yourself behind the cold front, we're going to be expecting more snow, frozen precipitation, and slightly higher winds. Or our personal favorite, when you're at the top left in the deformation zone of a low pressure, that's when we see the 120 mile-an-hour winds across the summit, and that's when we get to go de-ice and get blown off the top of our tower. And so where we are in relation to the center of low pressure is super important. And also what kind of low pressure is moving through. So we talked momentarily about a nor'easter moving through, and so that happens pretty frequently here on the eastern seaboard. And so when we see nor'easters, we're expecting a lot of heavy precipitation and high winds. When we see Alberta clippers coming through when they come, we expect a lot more higher winds as well, so in the 130, 140 mile-an-hour range in the most extreme cases. And so knowing what kind of low pressure is on its way and where we fall and how it is moving through our area tells us a lot about what kind of stuff we're going to put into our forecast product.
Then we'll also look at wind speeds. So on the next slide here, we kind of have our model output statistics, and we look at the pressure gradient. So a lot of times in models, you'll see a 35 knot wind speed at 850 millibars, which is about 5,000 feet. And up on the summit of Washington, we'll be seeing 80 to 90 mile-an-hour winds. So there's a lot of things that factor into what causes the acceleration of the wind speeds. So with loss, it usually takes forecast model output, takes into factors in our observations, and corrects for the possibility of the wind speed. So that gives us a good base, and then we look at, once again, doing a forecast on it and see how low the tropical clouds is and see how stable the atmosphere is and see how much more acceleration we can get out of wind speeds, and we'll adjust our numbers accordingly. So we usually don't weigh too much on models as much as maybe for lower land forecasting, so it becomes a lot of experience. So we do have discussions every day kind of going over like, hey, what about, is this going to factor into wind speeds? Is this stable atmosphere going to help accelerate the wind speeds? Or is this unstable atmosphere going to be more turbulent and mix up and cause wind speeds to slow down a bit? So we do have that forecast on it and try to adjust our numbers accordingly. Right. And then the last part is forecast fog, and then we'll go up to the summit.
Yeah, so just kind of put the icing on the cake as far as difficulty in forecasting. So you wouldn't expect it, but actually deciding whether or not we're going to be in the fog and whether or not to put that in a forecast product, actually there is a lot more that goes into it. You can look at the model numbers, and you can look at what all the computer model runs are trying to show you, and you'd be like, all right, yeah, I'm pretty much guaranteeing that we're going to be in the fog. You know, there might be a 1 degree difference between temperature and dew point, but then it'll be fine. And then the very next day you walk outside and you're like, oh, we are in the clear, or we are in and out of the clouds, and that person over there is yelling at me. So I mean, the whole point we're trying to talk about is that, you know, there is a lot that goes into these forecast products, and you can look at model numbers, you can look at all the information that's presented to you, but there's just so many different things that are happening that are going into what makes the weather on top of the mountain, that sometimes you can be a little bit off. And like it was mentioned before by the president, we do catch a lot of flack for it, but we do the very best that we can. So.
Alright, and we'll get on up to the summit actually and visit one of the observers who are up there now, and also get an idea of what's actually happening up there. So we have a couple backup plans. We've been running into internet issues since we have had. Usually, our internet up there comes through a microwave dish. So when we have ice storms, especially with glaze ice, we aren't able to get the communication in. So sometimes we run into internet issues, but it can go through running fine. So. Yeah.
There's the fence, they are eating dinner.
So while we wait, tentatively, to see if we can get a hold of Tom, part of the last little bit that we wanted to talk about was just some of our personal experiences with extreme winter weather. Yeah, I know. We'll just have to try it again in a minute.
You guys have any questions?
Oh yeah, let's take a couple of questions, sure. Yeah, so they actually do come from all over the place, all across the country, and we even do get intern applications that come from overseas, especially from the UK. And they come from all different types of majors and programs, so we do have a lot of meteorology majors that come through, but we also have astronomy and mathematics, a lot of engineering majors that come through. When I was an intern on the summit, there was a psychology major up there. So really, it just, you know, if you have an interest in weather, and if you're a go-getter and a little bit crazy, then you can come up with us and spend some time studying the weather. It doesn't really matter what program you come from or what background you come from. Good question. Ooh. No? Okay, let's take another one. Back here, yes.
What is the National Weather Service doing in the 80s?
Sorry, what was that?
What does the National Weather Service do in the 80s?
That's a good point. So a lot of that data goes into the numerical models. So Mount Washington, due to its prominence, is a very unique data point. So at most locations, especially here on the East Coast, you can only collect that data at 6,000 feet from weather balloons, which is only once every 12 hours. So you're able to collect that data continuously at that point, which helps improve, especially numerical models here on the East Coast. So those makes moisture, so it does help improve the forecast a little bit. So, and then it's also released publicly, so if you go to the NASJA website, you can actually check out our current conditions at any time you want, as well as our website in Washington. So upslope snow is when air masses hits Mount Washington and has nowhere to go but up. So precipitation is formed by air mass moving up. So as the air is coming up the slope of Mount Washington, it's forced to eventually release precipitation. So that causes that snow that we see.
Other questions? Yes.
What is the facts behind saying on the roads versus webs?
Alright, so the big thing that we have is a combination of very extreme factors. So Antarctica has extreme cold, so they get much colder than we do, but they don't really have any wind. So knowing several people down there, you might get up to like 45 miles an hour at the South Pole, but that's about it. That's 100 degrees below zero. Snowfall is another thing. So we see a lot of snow. It's one of the highest in the nation, but not the highest. So like Paradise Ranger Station on Mount Rainier sees over 600 inches of snow per year. We see about 300 inches of snow, which is a lot, but it's not the most. And then if you have wind, so we actually have the windiest location in the world, at least that's what's observed. Our average wind speed is 35 miles an hour. And during the winter season, we actually have about 50 mile an hour average in January. So a combination of high amounts of snow, winds, and cold is what kind of leads to the factors.
Good question. One kind of simple is, I'm sure you work in shifts, and in the middle of winter, Santa Claus Way Road, you use that, how do you get up there?
That's a very good question. So yes, we do work in shifts. So we work for 7 days at a time. So it's usually Wednesday to Wednesday, and there is an entire second crew. They're the ones that are on the summit right now so that we can be here. And so we'll work for 7 days straight, and then we do a shift change on Wednesday where we'll get to go down, recover for 7 days, and then get to go back up. But the way we get up there in the winter is actually a snow cap, similar to the machines that are grooming the side of the ski resort. And so it's, it runs on tank treads, it's very large, and it's a giant plow on the front. And so we're basically driving that on top of the snow-covered auto road all the way to the top, and so we're kind of like pushing our way through snow drifts. We're not actually plowing all the way down to the road itself, because then you're plowing through about 20 to 30 feet of snow. And so we basically just kind of try to plow our way across the top of the snow-covered auto road to the top, and we don't always make it. Sometimes we actually turn around and go back down, and so you can get trapped up there for a couple of days, but we do have plenty of provisions and enough living space up there where we can stay for 14 days before we absolutely need to get down. And your second question?
Yes, I've always heard about inventory effect, etc. I've heard about inventory effect in the top of the mountain and the troposphere is how high the Earth is very.
So generally speaking, like the top of the troposphere is like in the 20,000 to like 40,000 foot range during the summer season. Now it actually does compress during the winter season, and so as far as in relation to where we are, during the summer months you might have upwards of 10,000 feet of space between the summit and the top of the troposphere. In the winter that can shrink down to as low as about 6,000 feet. And so that's why generally speaking during the winter season we see a lot more extreme weather events, because they're getting a much more profound effect from that compression just from the colder temperatures and positioning of the planet.
So if the troposphere is 12,000 feet during the winter here, what is it in California, Colorado, mountains?
Yeah, so it depends on the type of air masses that we see. So out west, they have a lot of modified air masses coming in off the Pacific. So if you look at average tropopause heights from the weather balloon launch in Seattle, it's up to around 20 to 30,000 feet in the wintertime and closer to 40 to 50 in the summertime. Here on the East Coast, since we kind of have a gateway to the Arctic where we are, we have a lot of cold continental air masses that come in that are very dense. So that helps lower the tropopause down to as low as like 10 to 15,000 feet. A few of the events have been up on the summit where we had an ozone detector, because Saturday's launch from Albany showed the tropopause at about 7,000 feet from Albany. So on the summit, we might have been actually in the stratosphere. So it's very cool to see we actually have higher amounts of ozone.
So that vertical inventory is actually narrower like there than it would be
Yes, it is narrower.
Question. How bummed were you guys from Mount Washington Observatory years ago when you were no longer the strongest wind speed on the planet? And do you think it'll ever be exceeded or met again because of the change in location from where it was originally measured?
It's a good question. That's an argument we have on the summit a lot. And I also think that we have to change up our instrumentation. So we use Pitot tube right now for wind speeds. So it has a long pressure tube that goes down to the weather room. So we're working on actually trying to shorten up that tube because we know we're seeing damping effect. So we're likely not reporting as high a wind gust as we are, because there's been times where it's sustained up near 120 on the summit. It's only gusting like 125, so they only have very little variability, especially when it's cold. So we've always been theorized that if we shorten the tube length, we'll be able to get a better precision for the, I guess, also a dampening effect for wind gusting. We can actually measure higher wind gusts. We've tried it a few times with sonic anemometers, but with icing we don't see much. So we have seen as much as a 5 to 10% increase in gust speed using a sonic or subcurrent system. So it could be the change in instrumentation, and also, once again, the change in locations where highest wind gusts usually come from the southeast, since winds come off the Atlantic, and so through the Mount Washington Valley, now on the northwest side.
You guys, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are still reported as the highest wind gusts ever measured in the Northern Hemisphere, right?
Yeah.
So what is that?
That was the 231, correct? Yeah, so that was 231 miles an hour. That was actually, I love the Tomo story. That was actually in 1934. And so 231 mile an hour is well above Category 5 hurricane force winds. And the gentlemen that observed that were basically in a log cabin on the top of Mount Washington with heavy metal chains on it. And so if you can try to imagine being in a log cabin in the 1930s and well above Category 5 hurricane force winds, we actually do have the record book from that day, and we don't share it with people for a good reason. But yeah, it's impressive, and also to kind of follow up on your other question, so it's impressive to think that we actually had a person there to actually observe it, whereas the new world record, it was observed by a buoy. And so we still kind of cling to the fact that we had an actual individual person there to record 231 mile an hour winds. So, yes. Sorry?
The Barrow Island, Australia. The other factor, I think, for the 231, for us, the 10-minute average wind speed with that event was 188 miles an hour. However, the 10-minute average for the 253 on Barrow was only 110. So it's likely a tornado might have actually hit the site more than an actual straight line would have been.
And so just to, I know these are all really fantastic questions. We did want to throw one more little bit here into our talks, just to kind of talk about some of our experiences with the winter weather. As a recurring theme, a lot of people talk about, a lot of people actually tell us that we're insane for going outside in these crazy conditions, but it just kind of drives home the fact that, it's okay to participate in winter sports and to be outside in these crazy conditions so long as you are prepared. And so my personal experience actually just happened over this Thanksgiving, where we actually dropped to negative 26 degrees on top of the summit with 80 mile an hour winds that put our wind chills at negative 70 degrees. And so initially we were talking about how we probably shouldn't go outside and then just stay inside and enjoy Thanksgiving and all of that. But we're like, no, we have the proper gear, we can create a plan, and we all suited up and double, triple layered all of our things, and actually went outside and enjoyed the extreme cold. So we ran a couple of cold weather experiments, which were first, you could do the boiling water into the air and immediately make snow. That's really cool. We took it to the next level though. So we actually took a banana and threw it out into the snowdrift and left it out there in the sub-zero temperatures for about an hour, and came back, and the banana was so frozen solid that we could actually use it as a hammer. So this is actually known as the banana hammer experiment, where we actually drove a small nail and a roofing nail all the way to a 2x4, and that actually helped. Just using the banana. And then we also flash froze some eggs, so we made some fried eggs on the skillet, just from putting the skillet out there into the freezing cold. It was so cold that it actually cooked the eggs. And then we also froze a bowl of ramen on a fork, and so that was affectionately known as the ramen lollipop. So, just to drive home that point that if you are prepared, if you have the right gear, if you do the research, if you look into where you're going, there's no reason to just kind of stay inside and hide from the winter weather unless it's absolutely too abysmally dangerous. Enough to the point where we were going outside in those insane conditions just to have a little fun. So, that's my experience.